66 million years ago, in what is now present-day South Dakota, a monstrous predator stalked the forests and floodplains in search of food. Almost 40 feet long and 12 feet tall at the hips, it was at the top of the food chain, capable of hunting any large animal living at the time. This meat-eating monstrosity was none other than Tyrannosaurus Rex, the most famous dinosaur that ever lived. Little did this animal realize at the time that, millions of years later, it would wind up living in a small town in central Wisconsin. What is this animal? How was it discovered? And how did it get to live in Wausau? This is the incredible story of Ivan. Today, South Dakota is a haven for tyrannosaur fossils. Famous specimens like Sue and Stan have been discovered in the heavily eroded soils of a rock layer called the Hell Creek Formation, named after Hell Creek in northeastern Montana. This formation contains fossils from some of the last dinosaurs that ever lived in North America. Dinosaurs like Triceratops, Edmontosaurus, and T-Rex called this place home until that fateful day when a 6-mile-wide asteroid slammed into the Earth, bringing an end to the age of dinosaurs. Fast forward to modern times, and you can find their remains strewn across this barren land of mudstones and sandstones. This is why, on May 12, 2007, a man named Alan Komrosky, the founder of a company called Hell Creek Relics, stumbled across one of the most important paleontological finds ever discovered. He was in Harding County, on the property of a farmer named Ivan McGee. McGee swore that there were no dinosaurs to be found on his property and told Alan not to waste his time. Despite this advice, Komrosky went searching anyways. McGee was soon proven wrong when, a few days later, Alan discovered the find of a lifetime. A perfect claw was lying on the surface of the ground. The massive size and shape of the bone left no room for argument. Alan discovered a Tyrannosaurus Rex, and he named it Ivan, meaning Tyrant Lizard King. The first Tyrannosaurus Rex was discovered by a fossil collector named Barnum Brown in the year 1902, and named by Henry Fairfield Osborn a few years later. At lengths of 40 feet or more, and 12 to 14 feet tall, these animals may have weighed up to 9 tons, the same size as a large male African elephant. They are arguably the most heavily muscled predator that ever walked on land. Though some carnivorous dinosaurs may have been slightly longer and larger than T-Rex, the tyrant lizard was most likely heavier and stronger than these other species. It is for good reason, too. Tyrannosaurus was designed by nature to overwhelm and overcome giant prey animals like the duck-billed hadrosaurs and horned ceratopsians that grazed the floodplains in massive herds. As Alan Komrosky began excavating the skeleton amidst dry summer heat and the occasional rattlesnake, an interesting story began to unfold. Ivan's bones were lying in a position known as the death pose, a somewhat common occurrence amongst carnivorous dinosaurs where the head and tail curl back to the point where they almost touch. The tail was one of the most complete on record, and the majority of the rib bones, right leg, and hip were present. Unfortunately, most of the original skull was missing. Despite this, 65% of the skeleton was found, which is a remarkable discovery and one of the best Tyrannosaurus skeletons ever found because of its completeness and the quality of the bones. As Alan and his team began prepping the bones, they began to make further discoveries. The bones in Ivan's foot showed evidence of arthritis, indicating that the animal was a fully grown adult, estimated at 18 years old. Its right fibula was broken and healed, meaning that Ivan sustained a terrible injury at some point in its life, proof of this incredible animal's ability to survive. What is it about this animal that completely captivates our imaginations? Enter Steve Brusatte.
Hi, I'm Steve Brusatte. I'm a paleontologist at the University of Edinburgh and the author of the book The Rise and Fall of the Dinosaurs. One of the great parts of my job is that I get to study T-Rex, and it is a cliche, I know, but I have to say T-Rex is my favorite dinosaur because to me, it's a feat of evolution. It's an incredible animal. This is an animal the size of a bus. It weighed 7 or 8 tons, so it was bigger than an elephant. It had a head the size of a bathtub. It had more than 50 railroad spike teeth that it could use to crush through the bones of its prey. And then, yes, it had those pathetic little arms, not really much bigger than our arms. And you put that all together and you have this unmistakable animal, and you have an animal that was the biggest, baddest predator that's ever lived on land in the entire history of the Earth.
Most kids would agree with Steve's sentiments that T-Rex was the unequivocal champion of the dinosaur era. This predator had forward-facing eyes that gave it the unique ability to see in 3 dimensions, a rarity amongst dinosaurs. These softball-sized orbits gave it the unique ability to accurately judge distance, and they helped it find prey. Some estimates indicate that T-Rex could see its prey, like a large triceratops, from 2 or 3 miles away. Even better than its eyesight was its ability to smell. Brain scans on the T-Rex's skull show that 1/3 of the animal's brain was devoted to the olfactory system. And when you add nasal passages that were 3 feet long, you have an animal that could smell a dinosaur carcass from about 10 miles away. Large muscles in the legs and tail propelled this animal forward on its hunt for food. Though probably too large and heavy to sprint, some estimates indicate that a fully grown T-Rex could speed walk for long distances at speeds between 15 to 25 miles per hour, which means there is little chance that you could outrun it. Recent studies from UW-La Crosse show that T-Rex was able to turn on a dime, potentially twice as fast as other similar-sized carnivores of the time. Its skull was 4 to 5 feet long, possessing an armament of strong, serrated teeth. The muscles in the T-Rex's neck and jaws gave it great biting power, with some estimates in excess of 12,800 pounds of force, which would feel like an elephant sitting on you. Paleontologists believe that T-Rex used what they call a puncture pull feeding style, which means it would chomp down hard on its prey and then rip off a large bite. Any prey animal that was lucky enough to run away after an attack like that would probably succumb to the wounds later. And yes, its arms were tiny, but ancestors of T-Rex from the Jurassic period were much smaller, only about 6 feet long, and their arms were comparatively longer to aid in catching food. But as time went on and the tyrannosaurs grew larger, they relied more on their teeth to catch prey, and the arms remained small. Now this doesn't mean a T-Rex's arms were weak though. It is estimated that a T-Rex could lift 400 pounds with one arm. From the fossil record, we know that the 2-legged meat-eating dinosaurs were closely related to birds. This includes T-Rex, and it has many similarities with modern birds. Both T-Rex and birds possess a bone called a furcula. Today, we call it the wishbone. So the next time you eat a turkey and make a wish, remind yourself that you are eating a dinosaur. This could indicate that even T-Rex, which has been featured as a scaly dinosaur in books and movies for over 100 years, could have had feathers. Kind of like a giant meat-eating chicken. Today, a copy of Ivan's skeleton can be found at the Colossal Fossils Museum in Wausau, Wisconsin. Purchased in 2019, the cast replica is an amazing representation of the sheer size and monstrosity of this enormous predator that will be enjoyed by children and adults for generations to come. It's a lasting tribute to Ivan McGee, the farmer whose land the animal was discovered on, and Alan Komrosky, owner of Hell Creek Relics and the gentleman who found this amazing dinosaur. It is our hope that Ivan the T-Rex will inspire everyone and help teach them about this amazing world we live in.